Naruhodo's spending habits. March 5th at 2 p.m. Hello. I'm back. Oh, hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Did you have a good outing? Hi, Bruno. What's the matter? Your eyes are as big as dinner plates. I wasn't expecting to see you here. I just made some tea, Mr. Naruhodo. Would you like a cup? A cup or two? Yes, definite tea. Naruhodo's up to something. Alright, Bruno, what's going on? You're acting extremely strangely. Me? Not at all. I'm as normal as can be. Normality itself, see? Not again, Mr. Not what again? What do you mean, Susie? Whenever he goes out on his own lately, he always seems to come back with an own peculiar new purchase. Peculiar? What's peculiar about the things I bought? I seem to think that anything British is a curio you seem to must have. You keep buying items of bric-a-brac even though you don't know what they are. Well, there are rather a lot of bric-a-brac shops and pawnbrokeries and the like around here. It's when I speak to Lord Stronghearts to give my weekly report, I'm always so nervous beforehand. On the way home, I find myself in those shops and... Yeah, alright, I can't deny it. I bought something. You're right, I can't deny it, because your eyes are wider than ever. You really ought to put up a warning sign like that. They're bigger than some potholes around here. It's hard to resist things in a bric-a-brac shop. It's also cheap. Mr. Sholmes has given me a lot of useful advice about how to pick out the real bargains. You must remember, Bruno, that Hurley likes to have fun with you. Take his advice with a big pinch of salt. Well, that's true. That thing he told me was a pot stand wasn't a pot stand at all. But I never would have guessed it was a collapsible top hat. No, and I would never have guessed that you could fill up his once empty room so quickly. Honestly, it's overflowing with things we don't need now. I mean, look at those scales. Not once have you weighed something on them. I know, but ever since I first stood at the defense's bench in court, I don't know why, but I just really wanted my own little set of scales. Let's see then, Mr. Naruhodo. What have you come home with today? Well, it's one of these. What is it? It looks all dry and shriveled up in a ball. Really, Mr. Naruhodo, what is it? It's a sea anemone. An anemone? Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it at the moment. It's all shriveled up like you said. Aren't sea anemones living creatures and the ones that dance about on the seabed? Yeah, exactly, the ones that dance about on the seabed. Oh, they sell sea anemones in a bric-a-brac shops here in Britain. I don't know whether they normally do or not, but you know that I bought one today. Oh no. Why, Bruno? For the aquarium, of course. Aquarium? I don't know that word. Well, according to the shopkeeper, keeping sea creatures in tanks was hugely popular here in London before. Oh yeah, some people have some beautiful fish in underwater tanks. It's true. Having an aquarium became popular because the old glass tax was abolished. Here it is again, rearing its ugly head, the subject of taxation. It was real craze for a while. Everyone in London had one. For a while? Yeah, it didn't last long. People's enthusiasm soon waned. It's just far too much work to be changing the seawater regularly in a city like London. For a truer word said, I'm sure. I think people might have realized that from the start, really, wouldn't you? Anyway, that was long before I was born. Though, now everyone jokes that there's an unloved aquarium covered in dust in every attic in the capital. And it's true, there's one in this attic too. When I told the man in the bric-a-brac shop about it, he had these words to say. That's why this is the age of the sea anemone. That made a lot of sense to me. It made sense to you, did it? But, Bruno, the sea anemone is completely dried up. You just need to soak it in water overnight. It'll be as good as new. That's what the man said. I'm not sure that it works the same way as a dried wakame seaweed, Mr. Naruhodo. Once I've saved some money, I'm gonna buy some prawns to keep this little fellow company. Oh, how exciting. Your office will be teeming with life. Really? Really? Britain is a funny country, though. I mean, a sea anemone craze? Well, they say people in glass houses about comments like that. Like that here, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't forget that there's a very curious rabbit craze in our own country not so very long ago. A mortifying chapter that people will try to erase from the history books 100 years later from now, I'm sure. Now, there's another craze as well before the aquarium one. Have you ever heard of the Wardian cases? Wardian what? No, I've definitely never heard of them. They were little glazed cases for growing plants indoors, I believe. I see, for plant lovers to raise their favorite tropical plants. That's right, like different types of ferns. You mean those rather dull plants with a lot of fronds for leaves? They're not dull at all. Ferns are lovely plants. I think people wanted to recreate the exotic foliage of the tropics in their own homes. They grew ferns? I mean, ferns, sea anemones. Londoners certainly have a knack for the obscure. While thinking about it, my grandfather loved the moss on his bonsai. He looked after it better than the trees. It seems like the more obscure something is, the more it interests people. Maybe. Anyway, the Wardian craze didn't last very long. Now, most of those little glass cases are just gathering dust, I think. But haven't I seen one in your room, Paris? Very observant of you, Susie. Yeah, that's right. Mine's certainly not gathering dust. I grow tropical herbs in it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I really must ask you to stop all this frivolous buying of strange things. Alright, sorry. It's just that, well, think about Mr. Sholmes' room. He has all sorts of peculiar trinkets lying around. Well, yes, that's true. And they all seem to be growing in number. Recently I noted a blowpipe and a few real crystal set and a twisted piece of gold. A gold-rimmed Princess. I spotted a small gramophone record in there the other day, so I slipped it onto the gramophone. It was just a whispering voice saying, Norbury, and nothing more. What could it possibly be about? Those are all mementos of cases that really solved over the years. Exactly, that's what I want to create in here. Just that sort of atmosphere. A room full of meaningful trinkets, each with their own unique history, you mean? Yeah, that. I need you to understand, Mr. Sato. But, Mr. Naruhodo, none of the things you brought for the room have any connection with any of our cases. course I do. It's not hallucinating. Oh well. Don't they? Well, for example, that splendid but rather weather-beaten top hat. Wasn't that used as evidence in... That wasn't used as evidence in any of the cases we worked on, was it? So you have two top hats if you count the collapsible one as well? Well, no, the collapsible one is a pot stand as far as I'm concerned anyway. But the other day when we were in court, they were everywhere, weren't they? Top hats, I mean. Well, here in Britain, of course, they're the mark of a true gentleman, so that's hardly surprising. A man isn't wearing a top hat when he ventures out of the doors. He'll be looked down upon. Yes, you can't argue with that logic. It's very strict rules, isn't it? The gentleman's code. I've been wondering, how did I look in a top hat recently? After all, my university uniform is black as well, so I think it would be very in keeping. Go on then, Runo, try it on. Maybe Runo can't pull it off. The lesson here, I suppose, is that the juxtaposition of a student and gentleman is just so strange and wrong. Well, I'd rather it didn't suit me anyway. I mean, these hats are ridiculous. I'd be willing to bet every foreigner who sees one of these for the first time thinks exactly the same thing. Why is that man wearing a chimney on his head? People in glass houses remember Runo. What do you mean? Well, what about Japanese Chonmage top knots? Those haircuts are the height of ridiculous. True. At least you can take a hat off. Once you have a Chonmage, it's Chon in your head for good. I guess. I'd be willing to bet every foreigner who sees a Chonmage for the first time thinks exactly the same thing. Why is that man wearing a cannon knot? I said. I suppose what it means is to have different cultures, isn't it? On the subject of hats, the one Mr. Holmes always wears is very strange, don't you think? I beg your pardon, Mr. Naruto? What a thing to say. That is that's the very essence of Mr. Sholmes. Without his deerstalker, the great detective could be unrecognizable. It's called a deerstalker? That's a surprisingly swanky name. What's a hat of a hunter? Just like the flat cat. I made up my mind a long ago to visit Regent Street and buy one for myself. I'm not sure it's gonna fit over your hair. Well, I think it's perfect for a great detective who stalks his criminal career. What do you think is strange about it anyway? Ugh, you've seen it. There's two brims, one on the front and one on the back. Why do you need two brims on a hat? Surely one at the front is enough. One moment, please. If you ask me, Mr. Sholmes, it's just Mr. Sholmes' madcap personality coming through. I bet it's so that he doesn't have to think about which way around to put it on her or something like that. Mr. Sholmes doesn't have a madcap personality. always has a clear head. Deer stalkers were made for hunters who had to hide in thicket when they were stalking their prey. The brim at the back was designed to stop the stalks of plants from scratching the backs of their necks. Interesting. So that's the reason. Thank you, Iris, for educating us. Mr. Sholmes doesn't spend a lot of time in thickets though, does he? Well, no, that's true. I'm telling you, it's just his impetuous personality. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it firmly. Ah, there you all are. Good afternoon, Mr. Sholmes. I've not long since made some tea, Mr. Sholmes. Would you like a cup? I see. I've come at a good time, Miss Sato. Thank you. Now, I have something I should like you all to see. I designed myself a brand new great detective's hat. What? There's a bird at the front and at the back. And at both sides. 4 brims in total? Your observation's quite correct, my dear madam. I'm a busy man, you see, but with this hat, every way I put it on, I shall always have it pointing the correct way. With my previous hat, I get in an impetuous moment wear it erroneously with the brims on either side. That's impressively clumsy, I would say. And I must regretfully say, I think your madcap theory was correct after all. But really, Mr. Sholmes, with brims on all 4 sides like that, wouldn't it be just better to wear a top hat instead? Well, yes, then however you put it on, you'd have a brim all around. So true, so true. How could I have been so blinkered to this fact until now? Well, fortunately, I happen to have 2 top hats here. You could just lift the pot off, and you're welcome to try that one there. Indeed I shall, my good fellow. Much obliged. Do you get to see him in the top hat? Oh dear, Hurley, it looks terrible. More terrible than I could possibly imagine. Oh, that's not good. Maybe it's because of your long face, but with a tall hat, it just doesn't work. Well, I think it's very nice, Mr. Sholmes, even if it will have a hole drilled if it's on. It never meddled with it. Give me a deer stalker forevermore. And give me my regulation university hat for everywhere. I still hope that you graduate one day, Mr. Naruto. Don't give up. That's Escapade 5.